welcome everybody. For those that don't know, my name is Katie Conkin and I'm the Director of Development and Communications here at First United. So nice to see so many of you here. I think we're up to 39 participants today. But just to get us started, I want to acknowledge that I'm joining you today from First United's office that's located on the traditional, unceded, and stolen lands of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. And, I typically always say this, here at First United, we don't like to just drop a land acknowledgement and then move on, right? It has more weight, it's more meaningful than that. And so actively advancing reconciliation is really important to us. We see every single day the historic and ongoing impacts of colonization. And we see how it impacts the lives of so many that we serve down here in the downtown east side. And today's presentation has a lot to do with our history and our new building. And we cannot talk about our building redevelopment without recognizing that we're building on land that's not ours as a settler-led organization. So we're incredibly grateful to be able to do our work here to pursue justice and to build something that really honors the people whose land it stands on. It's important and meaningful. So I hope that you'll hold that in your mind as we go through today's presentation. And of course, for everybody on different lands, please feel free to pop into the chat where you're joining us from today. So just a little brief agenda. We have a lot of very exciting things. We have a lot of announcements about our history, our new art campaign that launches today, and you're actually going to get to hear from one of the artists whose work is going to be featured on the exterior of the building. Oops. So you might have noticed on my screen here that our logo is looking a bit different. So our fiscal year turned over on October 1st, and with it, we began to mark a really big and really exciting milestone. Over the next year, we're going to be celebrating our 140th anniversary. I've been with First United for 4 years now, and I'm always learning new things about our history. There's so many stories and tidbits and really incredible people who have moved our work forward, and I'm constantly learning new things. And I'll take this opportunity to say I would be remiss if I did not mention Bob Burrows and his incredible book. At this point, I have my highly annotated copy here. And so some of what we're going to be going through today is the history of the past 140 years. Was very much informed by Bob, and I know that a lot of you are very well-versed in the history of First United. So if I do make any mistakes, please feel free to drop into the chat and correct me. You guys all know a lot more than I do, but very excited to share a bit of an overview of our 140 years. So our story began in 1885 when the Presbyterian Church in Canada established a congregation in the township of Granville. And the next year, the first Presbyterian church was built at 152 Cordova Street. So the image on the left is actually the second church that was built at that location, because the initial one burned down in the Great Fire in June of 1886. So this one was rebuilt within a incredibly speedy 8 weeks. And that always makes me laugh, kind of thinking how long it takes to build anything in Vancouver nowadays. 8 weeks is pretty incredible. But just a few years later, a new church was actually needed because of how quickly that congregation grew. So in 1982, a church was built on the corner of Hastings and Gore, where we still reside as an organization today. And this church, so you'll see it on the right-hand side there, it could accommodate over 1,000 people, which was a massive increase over the previous building's 375 capacity. And over the coming years, the congregation and the community, of course, continued to grow. So in the early 1900s, the community services that we still carry on today really started to take shape, and support was provided by First United through counseling and ministry by providing meal vouchers, helping folks get a bed at a shelter, or providing bus tickets. Goodwill Industries began in 1923, which provided people struggling with poverty and employment, and it gave them the ability to purchase repaired goods at a low cost and to be gainfully employed to do those repairs. And then in 1925 was when we officially became First United Church. This was when we were established under the United Church of Canada and where our namesake comes from. So I'm sure many of you know that the United Church of Canada is also going to be celebrating their 100th anniversary in 2025. The image that you see on the left there, you've probably seen this before. We like to use it a lot because it's pretty incredible. So this is a photo from 1930 of our meal line. Over 1,200 people lined up at Warren Hastings, snaking down to Dove Levy to receive food that day. And what I really want to connect this to is that when we started demolition on our last building at Warren Hastings, we knew we were going to serve our meals from our food truck. And that truck was actually originally parked on Jackson at Hastings. That's where we first put it because it was right near our help desk and it was where we could get parking. We really quickly realized, though, that it wasn't getting a ton of foot traffic. And so we went to the city of Vancouver and we asked them for help. And we explained we had been serving meals from the corner of Hastings and Gore for nearly a century, and that we really needed a parking spot to be able to continue to do that. So they completely understood the importance of the service and its incredible legacy in the neighborhood. And so they worked with us to provide a permanent parking permit on that corner so our meal program could continue. And so it's, I think, always a really kind of incredible and touching kind of parody to see this line from the 1930s to the meal line that we, have today just on the north corner of Gore and Hastings from our food truck. So over the next few decades, the work continued to grow. More and more people found themselves in need of services and community at First United, and staff and volunteers answered that call. As the goodwill and the generosity grew, unfortunately, the old building was deteriorating. And so folks knew that it was time for a new home. And in 1965, a new building was constructed. And so this is probably on the right, the First United building that many of you probably remember, where it stood until 2023, when we lovingly had to take it down. So with each decade after that, our key programs began to come into shape. Every single decade, we added a new program. And this really speaks, I think, to how First United has always been adaptive and responsive to the community's needs. More programs came and went over time as needs and opportunities changed. But the common thread to this is that in our century-plus long commitment to dignity, belonging, and justice, that's at the core of what we're doing for the community, or what we're trying to do for community. The justice that comes from having the rights upheld through legal advocacy, the dignity of having clean and cared for feet, the belonging of sleeping indoors. By 2007, the congregation had dwindled and services to the community had increased. And so the board made the choice to wind down the congregation and to focus on meeting the most pressing needs of our neighbors in the downtown east side. Into the 2010s, though, a new challenge had reared its head, just like in the early 1960s when the old building was falling apart. Our beloved building was also falling into disrepair, and we needed time to build something new that actually met the needs of what we were doing. So, for example, in 2008, when we opened our overnight shelter, I'm sure many of you probably remember this, people were sleeping on pews and mats on the floor in the sanctuary. And while that certainly met a need, it got the job done, we knew that that wasn't the most optimal way to provide dignity, belonging, and justice to people in our community. So leadership knew that they had to make a change to really, truly enable people to thrive, and that we needed the right building to do it. So fast forwarding, over the years, plans were developed and redeveloped. In 2020, we secured our housing partner, Luma Native Housing Society. And in 2021, we publicly launched our campaign, First Forward. I know many of you have been following along with our redevelopment journey over recent years. And the latest updates are that construction is currently on the 10th floor. I get to count all the floors on my way in every morning, and we're on the 10th floor now. And we're on track to be open in November of 2025. This is what we're going to see at the corner of Warren Hastings in a year's time. There's going to be over 100 units of below market rental housing for Indigenous people, 40,000 square feet for First United programs and services, spaces designed for what we do today and what we imagine we're going to be doing 50 years from now. But most importantly, it's going to be space for dignity, belonging, and justice for our neighbors. And it feels really fortuitous that this building will be completed in our 140th year. It's a testament to our staying power and the commitment to serving this community. What happens in the building will be beautiful, and the building itself will be beautiful. And I will pass it along to Amanda Burrows, our executive director, to tell you all about that. But ultimately, it's a lot more than a building we're building. And I'll pass it to you, Amanda.
Thanks. Thank you. Thanks, Katie. Woo, 140 years. Okay, question. It's not a pop quiz, but who on this call during our time has volunteered at First United? If you either put it, well, we can't see all the screens, so maybe after, but if you put it in the chat, a little volunteer, if you volunteered, or put a thumbs up. Oh, I love it. I can see all these raised hands on my screen. Second question is, who has worked here? Please use an emoji or say yes in the chat. And then the third one would be, who has both worked and volunteered here? I'm sure so many of you on this call have participated in some of those ways. And as Katie was saying, like, she's been here 4 years. I've been here around 4 years too. And it's just really humbling holding space here today, having these conversations with so many folks in this Zoom room who have ties to this place for longer than we have. So we're very humbled to hold this space and share this time together. And thank you so much for coming today. So what do we do here? Of course, we are led by a vision where we can be a neighborhood where everybody's worth is celebrated and all people thrive. You all know that in order to make that vision a reality, we are redeveloping our space. And we're redeveloping our space for the downtown east side, this community. And we say this is the community that drives us. This is the reason we do the work that we do. And this is a community, as we know, of struggle, but one also of strength. We know so much about the struggles. We hear about them all the time. We hear about them in the media. We hear about the housing crisis. We hear about the criminalization of poverty. We hear about racialization of poverty. We hear about decampments, which means these tent cities are taken down. But it's just an optics thing because people are still unhoused, have nowhere to go, and the problem isn't solved. People aren't the problem, policies are problems. We hear about the struggles of the overdose crisis that's going on for 8 years. It has taken tens of thousands of lives across BC and takes 2 lives a day in the community that we work in, the community around where we live in. It is not okay. And we hope at First United, in some small way, we can make a big impact with our project and the ongoing advocacy that we do, and also in creating space for people to be able to thrive and for this to be a neighborhood where everybody is welcome. So as part of this work too, when we say struggles, we do always want concurrently to talk about strengths, the stories that aren't told, what media doesn't always tell us. The strengths that people have advocated and gathered for decades to mobilize around policies and ideas that can actually help improve lives or even save them. We talk about strengths and resilience. It's actually heartbreaking how much resilience you have to witness all the time here for what people have to come into every single day in their lives. But resilient people are. How welcoming. We all know so many of you are so attached to this place and this community. It is so welcoming. It's one of the most welcoming neighborhoods in this whole city that we have to hear so many white papers on it being the social isolation. This place where people actually know each other and talk to each other. And also when we talk about strengths, we talk about the artistic and cultural contributions of this place. The artwork that we see. And so in this next phase of our redevelopment, as the almost next floor, 11 floors of an 11-story building are about to be poured, we're starting to have a conversation about the exterior of the building, which will include art. We know that sense of belonging is an absolutely key moment for people, and we know that art and representation is a way to feel that. And when we say belonging, what we mean is creating safer, more dignified spaces, more beautiful spaces where people can worship how they want, show up how they want, they can just be and know they are not judged. And we know that art and representation matter. And so one of those ways we're doing that is we are launching this campaign video with you folks, fine folks today, that will then go live after, that really, I think, helps to show what we are trying to do and this next chapter of the conversation we're having around belonging and dignity and justice. So with that, I'll have someone from the fabulous team on here press play, and it's a 5-minute video. Thanks, everybody.
I wish more people could see the downtown east side that we see. The incredible strength of this community with stories of perseverance and survival. The art and cultural contributions that are just so achingly beautiful. The sharing of culture and stories creates a sense of purpose, identity, and belonging. This is why art is such an important part of our redevelopment project. Art is one of the key ways these stories are told, so who is included, who is excluded, and who is even creating these stories matters.
Behind me, there's a construction site where First United has been since 1892, located at 320 East Hastings in the downtown east side. I've been blessed to do the work for 15 years within this community, located on the traditional and unceded lands of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples.
For 140 years, First United has always adapted and responded to this community's needs. And although our building was so beloved, it was well worn and can no longer meet that demand. So we're taking action, and we're embarking on such an ambitious project to redevelop our site into an 11-story building, 7 floors of Indigenous social housing, and the first 4 floors of purpose-built First United services and programs, expanding our reach in this community and continuing to respond and adapt like we've been doing for over a century. Including public art in this project was never a question for us. In the downtown east side, with the histories of colonialism that are directly tied to the erasure of Indigenous culture, we believe that access to public art and the representation in it are key to reconciliation and healing in this community.
I'm really honored to be asked to work with First United, to be the voice of, I would look at it as our history. Back in the day, growing up saying we wanted to be an artist, what we were doing is reflecting what we saw around us, taking patterns out of nature and creating them in the work and reflecting them in who we were and are as people. I used to wonder what Vancouver's history was. I'm coming from Musqueam, I'm looking at the city and I'm saying, who are you? As this evolved, I answered my own question because I thought, well, maybe now I can share this with the city and we can together figure out how we're going to move forward in this thing called reconciliation. The downtown east side, wouldn't it be beautiful if they could put their hands on their own history or put their hands on something that connects you to not just what we can see, but what we can't see, because that's where the strength comes from. Strength doesn't come from feeling like you don't belong. My grandfather said, know who you are and know where you come from. Because if you don't know that, then you feel like nothing. Maybe seeing a building that has these beautiful patterns on it, which are geometrically in every culture, once you see it and you enter the building, you're part of it. It doesn't matter what religion you are or color you are. This is for everyone, not just one particular group of people. We all need to heal.
This project cost us approximately $92 million, and $37 million of that is the First United's 4-floor portion. Roughly $3 million of this is going towards the design, the materials, and the installation of the art that is being planned. And the art is going to be integrated both on the exterior of the facade and in the interior. I mean, these costs are going to exist anyway, so why not make it beautiful? Most public and accessible art projects in Vancouver are really in higher income neighborhoods. And this is really because the city of Vancouver requires developers on projects like commercial and residential to invest in public art. But it's also not a requirement in social development projects like ours.
What does that mean for us?
Well, it means if we're only building public art into communities of higher income, we're actually perpetuating inequities. So we want to do something about it.
It is vitally important for this neighborhood to have access to art. Folks in this neighborhood are quite often told that they are less than human. They are in situations that forces them to think of surviving only, and sometimes not even that. Feelings are the deepest and first way that we encounter what we think of as spirit. In art, you're supposed to feel a feeling. When we are journeying on this truth and reconciliation journey, it is vital that we look at songs and dances and art, whether that's in architecture or on the walls or carved, as part of ways to speak truth, hear truth, learn truth, relearn some truths that we've forgotten about. I picture our new space encouraging folks to leave their surviving mode just for a moment and move towards thriving. It helps us bring ourselves back to ourselves.
Everyone deserves the dignity of a safer space, a beautiful space, and a space where your story belongs. It's a lot more than a building we're building at First United. Join us to move First forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Katie, for playing that. Thanks everybody for watching and listening to our video, and really part of our why and our ongoing journey with this building and what we're trying to do in this community. So you can see and you heard that there's a $3 million art campaign that's part of the $37 million. And just to really underscore that that $3 million includes the facade architectural elements, and also some interior elements and a room where art and art therapy and programming will be as well. So that's the whole total. And like we said in this video, and to underscore, the majority of these costs already exist. To just then with intention go a bit further to then create these spaces that are more meaningful. It's just part of this journey and thoughtfulness of First United and our board and our cabinets and all of the consultants and all the community informed work that came before I was here, or some of us were here. And so I just give a huge thanks and gratitude for that intention that we continue to hope fulfill in this path forward. So of the $3 million total, which is part of the $37 million goal, if you stick with me here, that's part of the overall $92 million goal. Let's focus on the $3 million. We're trying to get there, and we're so thrilled to announce, as of last night, the Audain Foundation just announced that they are giving $1 million towards our project. And so that really helps us build some more momentum. And also, we then received another gift of $500,000 towards this as well from an anonymous donor. I'll speak for myself, very overwhelmed with all the generosity that's coming into this project and this building to do this in this community at this time. And I know so many people on this call participate and have been supportive and support this project in the past, present, and the future. So thank you so very much. I wanted to also touch on a bit about who the artists are. So we have now been able to unveil all 6 artists that have been selected as part of this project. So Deborah Sparrow, you saw in the video, she's doing the exterior and the brickwork pattern. We've also selected 5 other artists, all from Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh, in this ongoing conversation of reconciliation and action on the lands that we live and work on. We have the other 2 artists. One is joining us here tonight, you're going to hear from. One artist, Musqueam, Mack Paul, will be doing the facade of Hastings, the art panels, and they also go along Gore, where the resident side is. We have Ocean Highland, who's Tsleil-Waututh, a visual artist and carver and weaver, and she's going to be doing the vertical side solar panels on the Gore Street side along the housing component, 7 floors, and they will be etched. And what's really neat about those is they will create shadows and patterns on the building too, which will be beautiful. And then we have 3 house posts that will stand as welcoming in the front of the Hastings entrance into our services. And they're each carved by a Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh carver. They will be of equal height, they will stand side by side, and they will be of equal width. The one from Musqueam is by Brent Sparrow, a master carver whose work you may have seen at YVR or UBC. There is Jonas Jones, an emerging artist, Tsleil-Waututh carver. And then there's Floyd Joseph, a hereditary chief from Squamish, whose work is international and also is at the Royal BC Museum and UBC as well, among other places. It was such a beautiful process to get to here. We engaged a consultancy group called Host, which is all female, all from Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, to help convene and do an artist selection panel. And their process really is around highlighting the Salish form, the art form that is ubiquitous, that came from these lands, and to revitalize the importance of showcasing a type of art that had been erased before or not had been as offered as it should or could be. And so there's just been this revitalization, which is great, and which will be reflected on our building as well. So with that, I would love to invite Mack Paul, who has joined us on this call, invite you, Mack, to just take us where you want to take us about why you do the work and why we've been so gifted with your talent here. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me okay? Good. Okay, great. Hi, everybody. My name is Mack Paul. My ancestral name is kʷǝlasǝltǝn. Yeah, I'm from Musqueam. And yeah, I'm so honored to be a part of this project. I did a lot of unpacking today and a lot of digesting the evening that we had last night with a lot of folks from First United community and family. And I realized even, sorry, I might get emotional, just how more important this project means to me. I'm a young artist. I've only been consistently practicing for probably the past 3 to 4 years. So it's great to see on this project a blend of established master artists that come from each of the 3 nations, and then like myself, Jonas, and Ocean to be alongside those folks. It's just such an honor, and just also just seems so surreal that we're being recognized for the work that we do. I know Jonas and Ocean quite well, actually. I've had the privilege of working with them quite a few times, and just also know the story and the teachings and the knowledge that they put into their work, and yeah, just all the praise to them. But as I was saying, just how kind of personal this project has been and what I was reflecting on today, and I'm very selective of what I apply to. And I don't often apply because it does take a lot out of me. I love the work that I do. It's so fulfilling and so rewarding. But like I said, like I pour emotion, I reflect on my teachings. It's really grounding. But I mean, I guess also as an artist, I want things to be perfect. And so so I was encouraged by my friends at Host to apply, and I kind of sat on it and applied at the 11th hour, and it's such a big project, and didn't really think that I would have been a successful artist, but feedback that I've heard is my application was really well received by the panel, and that just blew me away to begin with. That what I have to share is I don't know, people are receiving it so well, and but yeah, I mean, as you see in the video, and as I'm learning through this journey with First United, and how amazing you guys have been since the beginning, and kind of being, as somebody said in the chat as well, kind of at the forefront of adapting to what the community needs are, and always like being there, kind of just always going above and beyond. Uh, that really kind of, is something that's important to me. And another reason why I wanted to apply was just, yeah, because of I believe in your steps towards reconciliation. And yeah, reconciliation, it's a tricky word for an Indigenous person. Because with settlers, we never had a relationship to begin with. And so from my perspective, there isn't a relationship to reconcile. But so what makes this more beautiful and the efforts that First United have been putting into this. But yeah, what I was reflecting on today is I really feel like this project was meant to be a lot of the work that I do, and a lot of our teachings are like, our ancestors guide us in the work that we do and the art that we produce and the stories that we share. And 4 years ago, I lost my grandma. It was the first loss that my family had. And I didn't realize until today that like these are the communities that my grandma served, the vulnerable communities in the downtown east side and the urban Indigenous communities and people that are victims. And those are the exact communities that First United serves. And sorry. So I just feel like I'm meant to be here, and I'm so happy to be here. And I'm so happy to be producing art that will provide people with a sense of welcoming and community and a sense of place where it's needed the most. Yeah, and I can't wait to share those stories and continue on. My grandmother's teachings that, I was so privileged to have lived with her and grown up with her. And yeah, I just feel really excited. I got flustered, so I kind of lost all my train of thought, but I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Joining us today and sharing that is such a gift. And this whole process has been really a gift, and it's about storytelling and relationships. And thank you, Max, so much. Every time we connect, I just thank you so much. We cannot wait to see what the designs are going to be, because we just started this process. We know what the brick is with Deborah Sparrow, but the other 5 artists we just started working with. So as soon as we start to see those designs, we'll start to share with our broader community, you folks as well. So it's going to be really exciting, and we'll update those renderings. Actually, you're going to see the building within a year, so it's happening. So thank you. I'd love to then pass it back to Katie, who's going to do our next piece. Thank you.
Oh, goodness. Mac, thank you. Thank you so, so much for sharing that. That was incredibly special to be able to listen to. And it means a lot that you're sharing your gifts with us. How can all of you get involved? We're really excited. Today, we're launching a brand new initiative. It's our Buy a Brick campaign. So Deborah's brickwork pattern that you saw in the video is inspiration for our symbolic Buy a Brick campaign. The way it works is that you can go onto our website, and a member of our staff will pop the link in the chat for you there, and you get to pick which wall your brick is on. You get to pick the color that you want. You can add some sparkle to it, and you can add a dedication in memory or in honor of somebody. And at the end, you get a certificate that says, you know, you bought the red brick on the north wall. It's brick number 52 in honor of whoever you like. And this is how we're getting our wider community involved in the project to participate and, of course, to reach that $3 million total for the art campaign. Plus, really, really exciting, all donations for Buy a Brick campaign are going to be triple matched from now until December 31st, up to $250,000. So if a brick is being sold for $50, that's where they start at. It's actually $150 of impact. And with Christmas just around the corner, it might make a good gift. So we're very excited to share that with you. Thank you so much, Trista, for popping that in the chat. It's a very cool, very interactive website that our incredible web developers, Denim and Steel, have built for us. If nothing else, just go on and poke around because it's a lot of fun to see how the building actually turns with the 3D render. Get a little bit of a better view of what's to come. So that was it for our presentation. We have our Terra Breads gift certificate, of course, but given everything that we've kind of talked about tonight, I wanted to open the floor for questions or thoughts about our 140th anniversary. Please, somebody fact check me if I got any of our history wrong, or if you have any questions about the art campaign, feel free to unmute yourself and speak up. We'd love to hear your questions.
Hi, I'm Nancy, and I just went online to look up the Buy a Brick program. It's not there yet. I'm assuming it's going to be online, is it?
That's really good to know. We were testing it earlier. It should be online right now. But if it's not, it will be by tomorrow morning.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks.
Go back tomorrow then.
Thank you so much, Nancy. Appreciate that.
If you click on the link in the chat,
Yeah.
take you right to it.
Oh, okay. Couldn't find it by Googling it.
No, it would just in the chat, just click on the link that I don't know who put it in. Trista.
Yeah. Who put it in? Where is it?
Well, if I could talk, as soon as it went up, I went on and it did load. And then when we've just been talking, then it didn't load. So I think it's on and off again, Katie.
There's nothing better than some beta testing among friends.
Yeah, you guys are testing for us. So thank you.
Link is up and active right now. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. It came up for me.
Yeah, mine is still active.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
So are these bricks that Susan Sparrow is going to be using for the exterior design, or other artists as well?
Amanda, do you want to take that?
Yeah, so Deborah Sparrow, who's doing the brick pattern, it's in symbolic buying a brick, but all of the bricks are done in her design on the exterior. So the first photo of our slide deck from tonight, if you can remember, and somebody is also asking a brick question, I think Linda did, the whole patio is designed in a brick. Like there's a cantilever area, if we could get a photo up. But yeah, there's about 20,000 bricks that are going to be used to make the brick pattern. There we go. So that's, I think that might answer Linda's question. And then Gary, your question, all those bricks along the light well, and then the patio are all Deborah Sparrow's pattern. And then when you go on the website, it is interactive and you can see and you can pick different sides.
Brilliant for Christmas. I immediately thought of 4 grandchildren, 3 kids, you know. This is good.
I mean, I usually don't encourage shopping during our event, but now that the link works.
Well, and I will take the opportunity to share right now amongst friends. You can purchase, of course, multiple bricks. If you're purchasing more than about 5, you might want to give our office a call to do that. because you do have to submit every brick individually. And if you don't feel like doing that, you can give us a call and we can help you out.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Of course. Anybody else?
I love
Questions?
Will's comment there in the chat about who needs Lego. This is like Lego for grown-ups. This is
Oh, and I love that Carrie, that is our Reverend Carrie Copeman-Haynes, the chair of our capital campaign First Forward, joining us here today. Thank you so much for your leadership and everything. We appreciate, love, and respect you so much. And we also have, of course, Heather Clark, our board chair as well. Thank you so much also for being here tonight, Heather, and leading us through this. And am I missing any board or cabinet members
No.
to give some shout out?
I know Rudy probably and Elizabeth Kirkland would have been here, but they're with grandkids and off doing some fun things.
So now that we see everybody, no one's putting me on the hot seat yet, which you totally can, we still have time. Can I if you all know how to use your reaction, whoever has either worked or volunteered here, if you put a thumbs or a heart, you know how to use that feature. So many people wrote beautiful things in the chat too, if you know how to. Oh, Carrie went stars. Look at everybody. Now, if you didn't put a heart yet, there's still time, which is such a great segue into our volunteer program that will be expanding next year. We can't wait to share more in the following month. Look at that, Kathy's got the, how do you folks get the really dynamic ones? Do I need to update my Zoom?
No, you just have a different,
Oh,
It says
Yeah.
send with effect on the
Yeah.
top.
see, all the time.
but while I have your attention, it's Heather, I would just like to give a big shout out to our staff who did a totally amazing, fantastic. I hope we have a lot of photos from last night because it was super special and the staff just worked like slaves to make it absolutely gorgeous. And of course, thanks to my friend Bruce Wright for hosting it at his place. But I just want to let staff know and all the staff that are behind the staff that made it possible. It was a truly wonderful event.
Thank you, Heather. That's really kind of you. Appreciate that. All right, well, if there's no further questions, I'm very, very happy, very excited to announce our Terra Breads gift card winner, who this time is Hugh Creighton. Congratulations. I love all the clapping. Hugh, because there's a Canada Post strike right now, we'll hold off on putting it in the mail for you. If you'd like to come down and pick it up, you're more than welcome to. Otherwise, our staff will coordinate with you about putting it in the mail when we feel confident that it'll actually make its way to your home. Otherwise, thank you so much to everybody for joining us. Have a really excellent weekend and stay tuned for more information about our anniversary and our building in the coming months. And thank you again so much, Mac, for joining us. Really, really appreciate and value you. Take care, everybody.